YouTube. It's the end of October, which means today is another Book of the Month video, and today's Book of the Month video is about An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. If you're new here, hello, my name is Tori Cyclic. I make new videos every Sunday for Cyclic Sunday with other videos throughout the week. If you like what you see, like this video down below and subscribe while you're down there as well. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram in the description at tss6295. Now let's get into the video. First thing I want to say about this, I'm filming this video on my phone because my camera is being fixed, so sorry about the video quality of this. So I have been excited for Hank Green's first book for a very, very long time because I've always wanted Hank to write a book, and now that he has, I've just been really, really excited about it. If you didn't know, if you haven't watched any of my other videos from my outro, I'm a nerd fighter. I always say DFTBA because don't forget to be awesome. I'm a proud nerd fighter. I have been since high school, always will be. It's just such a great community to be a part of online, and John and Hank Green really fostered that in such a great way for their fans and for the nerd fighters and for everybody who wants to be involved in this community. And that's a big part of why I've been so excited about Hank Green writing a book. I knew that Hank's book would be totally different from John's because they are obviously two very different people, but because they're brothers and have very similar personalities in certain ways, I knew that their books would be similar in certain ways too. And that's the kind of thing that I like about Hank's book, is that it reminds you a lot of John's writing, but it's also completely different because it's Hank's writing, but you can see like the similarities between them and their personalities and kind of how they are online as well. I'm gonna read you the inside cover of the book so you kind of know what this book is about. Also, to start off, no spoilers, this is a fiction book, so I'm not gonna be spoiling anything like I do with all my other books that have been fiction based, so yeah. In Hank Green's sweeping cinematic debut novel, a young woman becomes an overnight celebrity before realizing she's part of something bigger and stronger than anyone could have possibly imagined. The Carls just appeared. Roaming through New York City at 3 a.m., 23-year-old April May stumbles across a giant sculpture. Delighted by its appearance and craftsmanship, like a 10-foot-tall transformer wearing a suit of samurai armor, April and her best friend Andy make a video with it, which Andy uploads to YouTube. The next day, April wakes up to a viral video and new life. News quickly spread that there are Carls in dozens of cities around the world, from Beijing to Buenos Aires, and April, as their first documentarian, finds herself at the center of an intense international media spotlight. Seizing the opportunity to make her mark on the world, April now has to deal with the consequences her new particular brand of fame has on her relationships, her safety, and her own identity. Compulsively entertaining and powerfully relevant, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing grapples with big themes, including how the social internet is changing fame, rhetoric, and radicalization, how our culture deals with fear and uncertainty, and how vilification and adoration spring from the same dehumanization that follows a life in the public eye. The beginning of an exciting fiction career, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is a bold and insightful novel of now. Obviously, I also have my signed copy of the book because yeah, I'm a fangirl and I like doing that with all of my brand new copies of books that are like brand new, and this book has been out for like a month, so that's one of the things I like to do when I buy these books, especially by like my favorite authors and things like that. I'm going to talk about first here the cover of the book here. As you can tell, there's these little things here that are in the dark blue on the cover, and then there's light blue. Those are the Carls, which I think is really cool. When Hank first announced the cover of the book, I was like, what are these things that are on this? I'm really excited to see how they're going to play into the book, because obviously a lot of times covers of books help to tell parts of the story. It's a very bold cover of a book. It makes it stand out, which I really like about this. Like the inside cover summary review kind of the book says, it's a very modern book that really fits into the time period of 2018 because it talks a lot about social media and fame and how they affect people and change people, and I think that's a really important theme that needs to be talked about. And because Hank also is a person who has gone through a lot of that with Vlogbrothers, because him and John were just kind of normal people who decided to make a video diary talking to each other, and then it blew up into this huge community. So there's definitely a lot of things you can tell that Hank is talking about personal experiences dealing with fame and how it's changed him and his family and different things like that because of the Vlogbrothers, but he tells it through that lens of April May. From the first few pages of the book, I feel like I relate really well to the character of April May, who's the main character of the book, because she is a 23-year-old living in New York City, chasing a dream that kind of seems unattainable, but she has a passion for it, so she keeps going with it, and I'm like, wow, if that's not me in a book, I don't know what is. It's really nice to read a book where I'm like fully relating to the character so much because I'm in a very similar place in my life, and understanding her perspective in that kind of way as well, and seeing like social media and fame through that lens too. From the first few chapters of the book, I realized how much I like the tone of this book. It reminds me a lot of The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and Hazel Grace Lancaster in particular from that book, because April May is a very witty and strong-minded character, but she also has very soft moments and different things that make her think a lot about her life and understanding where she is at this point in her life. And The Fault in Our Stars, Hazel Grace is kind of in that same place because she's dealing with cancer and trying to survive, and the two of them kind of align very well in that way, and it helped to me bring out the kind of similarities between John's writing and Hank's writing, because it shows that their characters kind of align in this weird parallel universe, that their characters can relate really well to each other. I feel like they fit very well as friends in a kind of sense. There's a section in chapter 4 of the book where April is reintroducing herself to social media, and it's really interesting perspective on how people are so ingrained in the world of social media, and how if we don't have a presence, we have to like fully recreate ourselves online and make it like we're a totally different person, or like recreate our entire lives and change things up so people see what's online. And especially with what happens with April in the book, she has to make it like a big deal that she's joined social media and become a part of that world. There's a character named Miranda in the book who honestly feels like it's Hank personified in the book, because she's a science-y type of character, and a lot of the things that she talks about in the book remind me of things that I feel like Hank has talked about in SciShow videos, as well as when he talks about things that are science-based on Vlogbrothers. And as I was reading it, I was just like, this feels like Hank threw himself into the book in a very, very fun way, such because the character, the way she talks, feels like how Hank talks in his videos too. I really love the pacing of this book because there's a very great undertone of energy that kind of pushes the entire story forward and makes you really want to read April's story and know what happens with her and the Carls and everybody that's involved in her life, and seeing what happens with all of the characters as they grow and change throughout the entire book. Also, I just love that there's a lot of differences and similarities between John and Hank's writing that you can really see in An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. With John's books, a lot of the writing has a lot of metaphors throughout it, so there's a lot of big picture things emotionally that happen a lot with his characters, and you see it a lot through the writing because it feels like they go on these big sweeping emotional thoughts and kind of situations that happen to them, and they feel a lot bigger and prescient in that way. Whereas with Hank's book, there is a lot of that in there as well, but it feels a bit more grounded too, and you kind of get more of the sense of that April is somebody that you could see on the street and know who she is from that. And John's books kind of, you feel like these characters are in a different kind of universe, that they have all these big thoughts and big dreams because they're also a lot teenagers. And Hank's writing this from the perspective of somebody who's in their 20s, so they've grown up a little bit more, so you kind of see that difference as well. It also feels like April May is a kind of grown-up version of John's characters in that they've gone through the adventures that happen in their own individual stories and have grown up into a version of April May. So if you're looking for a brand new fiction-based book that is very relevant to the times of social media and fame, as well as like some fun sciencey adventure type things that go on with this as well, definitely recommend An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. Also, it's Hank Green. It's the Vlogbrothers. It's one half the Vlogbrothers. If you've read An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. I'd love to get a conversation started about this book and hear what other people are thinking about this as well, because it's Hank's debut novel and I want him to write more as well. So Hank, if you happen to be watching this, hi. Really like your book, I really love your book. Please write some more. Thank you. If you have any further book recommendations, leave those in the comments for me as well. I love to hear what you guys are reading and see what kinds of things you think I would like to be reading as well. And as always, if there's anything you want to see here on my channel, let me know about that in the comments down below as well. I'd love to get feedback from everybody who's watching my videos and know what you guys want to see here on tss6295. Thank you so much for watching, DFTBA, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.